just last the year.
Hi, I'm Crystal and I'm 15 years old. I have generalized anxiety, social anxiety, and a panic disorder.
I'm Riley Lincoln and I'm 15 years old. I stress a lot, and then that stress ends up putting more kind of backlash onto my emotions, and that reflects onto my family life and my social life.
My name is Alyssa and I am 16 years old.
I'm Amelia Hermosillo and I am 16 years old. I have social anxiety. I think I began noticing it in about 7th grade, and as soon as I got to high school, it definitely heightened.
I started noticing that I had anxiety because at first I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know that was like a thing, and so I found out my friend had it and she was talking to me about it, and that, like, in my head I was like, that sounds like my everyday life. And so I started doing research, and then it all, like, whenever I like looked it up, like, it always said like, oh, you like seem to have anxiety. So I went to a doctor and then I was diagnosed.
Hi, my name's Renee Tolson and I'm a sophomore at Windsor High.
I first got anxiety in 6th or 7th grade, and ever since high school it has actually gotten a lot better.
So I first noticed my anxiety in about like 7th grade. In 8th grade, we had a lot of projects and stuff, so I think it worsened then. And then back in high school, it was a little bit easier, so it wasn't as bad.
It worsened when in freshman year, and once I got into sophomore year, it kind of lessened, but it was at its peak in freshman year.
We get told in class that we have a presentation that we have to do. My first reaction is obviously, like, I get really anxious, so my heartbeat goes up, and then depending on what it is, I'll start shaking or not. And then when I am presenting in class, depending on how many people, it all depends on like whether I know them or how many there are, but let's say there's a lot of people, I didn't know all of them, I would start to, like, my heartbeat would quicken, and then I would start crying, and then I just want to leave.
I think one of the main things that goes through my head whenever I have to get up in front of people is the way people think of me when I'm presenting, and what they'll think of me when I do present, and just what will come of it.
Experienced many anxiety attacks when I'm studying for tests or during class, or during like suicidal attempts. And basically it's just a lot of crying, you can't breathe, you're just in a lot of pain and you can't move.
Anxiety attacks and panic attacks, which are different. So an anxiety attack is like it's like your anxieties, but like it's all you can think about, and it makes you, some people get sweaty, and then some people shake. I shake. Sometimes I cried. That would be more like a panic attack. And then, like, it's not really physical, it's mental. That's an anxiety attack. And then panic attacks are more physical.
So I have experienced an anxiety attack a couple times. Mainly what triggers it is conflict with my family. Because whenever we fight, it's usually about me and something I did, like grades or something, and it really affects me and makes me really feel anxious about my future, and so it causes me to have an anxiety attack.
I've experienced several anxiety attacks, and they start out with me just fidgeting a lot. I fidget. That's how it starts out, and then once it progresses, I start losing breath and I can't breathe. I'll lose breath, I'll get fidgety, I'll forget how to talk, I'll stumble on my words because I forget how to talk, and I get stomach pains and I feel nauseous. I lose my vision goes blurry.
I feel most vulnerable to an anxiety attack before a test, during a test.
My anxiety makes me feel really, really vulnerable when I'm in groups. When I'm presenting, when I'm around people, or oftentimes when I have to talk about myself, like things that I hold personal to me that I wouldn't say to just anyone.
I'm most vulnerable to an anxiety attack when I'm faced in situations that are unusual or uncomfortable, or when I feel like a task is too big for me to accomplish, I feel threatened and it makes me anxious and worried. So some things I do to work on my anxiety is I have coping skills. So like taking a walk, getting fresh air when I'm really overwhelmed, or just asking for space from the people that are making me feel anxious, and also therapy I feel helps because it gives me new coping skills that I didn't have.
It's gotten better since last year, and so like it's hard. I don't take medication, but I do see doctors.
Work towards improvement. I have done therapy sessions. I have been hospitalized and done treatment. I have done exercising to kind of channel the energy in a more positive way, and doing breathing exercises.
Like, listen to myself more and be more of myself instead of letting this kind of control me.
For someone who is struggling with it, I guess that like you just kind of have to learn how to control it.
And remember that there's always someone willing to help. And if you are if you're friends with someone who's struggling with anxiety, I would just say be patient. Like, it's really hard, but the person's really overwhelmed.
You may be suffering anxiety now and you may be going through stuff, but it's not going to last forever. You're going to find things that help you reduce it. You're going to become one with yourself in a kind of sense.
Find ways to cope with it. Like, try to get help for it, because just trying to deal with it isn't the way to go about it, because it is an illness and it does need curing and help just like any other illness.
If I were to give advice to someone with anxiety, I would say you should get professional help and not try to deal with it yourself, because if you try to deal with it yourself, you're just going to end up bottling it up.
Something always brings me back to you. It never takes two.